Hello everyone. I would like to very quickly talk about a very interesting idea. And I'm going to ask you to begin by visualizing that people did not only have one color of skin. There were many colors. Imagine your skin just had many colors. How would you be able to acknowledge a person with multiple skin colors as to have a certain range of skin color or not? As a specified skin, would you consider him green, blue, yellow, whatever? You see, you can't. So in a sense, you don't even try to separate something if it's already connected. So you see, right now, we don't have skin like that, but our sense of self, the idea of us, is like that. It has a mind that can work in that way. What that means is that that your sense of awareness to yourself, with the blend of your imagination to the attention that is your experience right now, it is a very important gaze. You see that you don't need to separate your imagination to see if you're imagining something or not. The fact that the intelligence is perceiving in that way is one that serves. It serves the awareness of the being, the attention and the walks of life of not always feeling you're in front of a sniper rifle. You're not. That which is afraid is that which is unlooked. In other words, you haven't looked at what death means to you, and because you haven't really looked at what living means to you. Because you examine truth before it is shaped. Once you're the awareness before a shape is presented to be recognized, you are the infinite ability to be any form of creative observance, awareness. So therefore, you cannot try to, again, give races to a mind that is racing all over the cosmos. You cannot give shape to a nature of mind because you always feel your definitions are limited. If the human apparatus is limited, that means man's ability to name that which he is certain of is limited. Uncertainty is the realm of your greater vision. That means you don't know the lesson, but once you failed, you learn it. What's the difference between you after your failure and you now is you know another application of life. Now these knowings are not in a sense originating based on just your environment. In other words, how you're reacting or how you're approaching your moment is not just from this sense of space and time. It's very hard to say. It's not just one colored. You see that this human being who had many different skin colors, at the same time, had a body that was present in many ways. So in other words, the same body can be infinite bodies. You must understand this in a world where you're always discovering a greater body of experience, a greater awareness. You see, we have to be delicate with our measurements and to, in a sense, understand that measurement is its own executioner. Belief is its own executioner. Acceptance of an idea without your own experience of it means that you will see that idea executed when you find your own idea. So if you're acting or if you feel so certain about being a certain temporal image, your awareness must just amplify to that experience. What that means is that you're not wrong as a human being. You're not living wrong. You don't need to be guilty, sinful. You just need to be aware of what you are. And that means immense reinterpretation based on the depth of your observance to different states of being. In other words, think about yourself suddenly having your child's eyes. In other words, imagine, like, I don't know, in a long time, suddenly being this new human being who's alive. This new human being who's alive is exploring life. What that means is that its conception of life is based on its ability to explore life. And explore life means going around. So what that means is you get a better understanding of what the planet is by going around to other cities and different parts of the planet. Similarly, we see for consciousness, to understand the consciousness better, we need to explore it. What that means is we need to be interactive with our sense of formlessness. That means your awareness to your concept of a soul and spirit must become an experiential happening in this moment. In other words, don't leave certain ideas untouched because you feel you cannot reach it. Don't think that you cannot go look through the fading clouds of, let's say, Mount Olympus or something. Do you know? You are your greatest story and at the same time your worst story, and any other story that you're aware of, in a sense. And so you must understand that you are a choice among choices within your own abstract self-awareness to your shape and form. So man's understanding of self is true, and it is valid to see that all is originating from him. In other words, he is creating his meaning. But the setting and the atmosphere and the presence of everything to even bring this condition, to even have... Before evolution, there was no evolution. That's what I'm saying. Before evolution, there was no evolution. Evolution was more of an experience that had a very intense view. And so life changed in ways it could not recognize itself. And when that happens, that means your passage through eternity is based on how much eternity you see within your nature of being. So you might see that, wow, the idea of love seems eternal because it's been always talked about, it's been always communicated. And similarly, the idea of hate has been out there, but the good values of humanity, in other words, the good that is within you, is based on a group act. It's based on a holistic approach to how your being is expressed. So what you have right now, what is given to you, is all the ability, is the greatest ability of human evolution to be aware in a shape. You see, you might consider an entity such as the human being evolving, but the problem is you're not acknowledging the entity that is the world in which the human being is going through. And it is not a physical entity. You know how just like you have a knowing that you're more than physical form, it's a similar sense of knowing that you're more than space. So our sense of transcendence is into a sense of beingness, of spatial and time awareness outside of it. In other words, if we are constantly visualizing and envisioning senses of space and time, we have not reached the point to experience the nature of our consciousness differently. Now, there are exceptions. What that means is that you will go throughout your life having your own normal story. You're a normal guy. You're not your Peter Parker before you're Spider-Man, and you're constantly going through your life until suddenly you get caught in a web that's not yours. And when you get caught in a web, that means you become involved in life in ways which you could never imagine. But that information is, in a sense, polishing the mirror that is your alertness. In other words, the toughness of the experiences, if observed carefully and completely, are opening worlds of knowing for you. What that means is that when you walk, you don't need to read what walking means in a book when you remember you have walked. When you remember that you're breathing, you don't have to worry about drowning. When you remember you're here, you're aware that there was never a sense of other. There was never a there. Because what was there, in other words, adding an extra T to here, was to here. So what that means is that our sense of destination is to here. So we are going from an experience in the moment now to another destination. destination in another experience of a moment of now. And so this is intense. This is the Ryan rolling in its sleep. And when that happens, one must coordinate their reality and attention to the most clearest elements in their life. And that normally resonates with truth and harmony and love and compassion and nature and being and all, just those ideas. You get close to those ideas, you will begin experiencing your intelligence differently. Okay? Stop thinking you have just a brain that is aware of things. Be aware of a holistic system that is the moment that is you. And then your experience is amplifying and evolving in many ways. Imagine going home, not to one home, but in every story that was the neutrality found within the mind of a selfish form. You see, you're right. You can say man's problems right now are in a sense mechanical before they're even spiritual. Because man's understanding of the spirit is mechanical. And I'm not saying every man, I'm just saying some men who have a voice louder than others believe our world is done with mechanical approaches. That's fine. But you see, it's just like how David Icke wrote in his book. And I'm not one for conspiracies as much. I haven't even read his book. I've read random pages from his books, right? I just open spontaneously, and just from different videos and stuff. I know who this guy is, but in the beginning, I think this was even in the cover or somewhere. The quote is that there are two types of control, and one, imagine a dictator who's yelling from his army's throat, which is controlling overtly in the open. And imagine covert control where the person is imprisoned. So in other words, imagine being born in a prison. You wouldn't think it's so bad because that's all you know. Because when children are born, they don't have hate in their mind. They don't have separation in their mind. They're recreating separation based on the separations that they understand. So what that means, in a sense, is that you must interact with yourself differently and know you always are. So to keep a certainty to a sense of self means you gotta limit your awareness. To have your theories make sense, you cannot experience life in a different state of being. It's saying life is true in this state of being. Life is also true in many states of being. So it's a matter of not excluding our knowing from the unknown, but including it and exploring what that relationship means. In other words, we may perhaps be very unique in our awareness to a sense of separate being. But the greatness within you is of a different kind. It is of a different element, a selfless, a flow, a stream that has already found the ocean. And so with that, we find we're ready. So to be honest with you, if you're not attentive, if you're not self-aware to your state of being, not being doesn't, how would I say this? Feel it out. And then let thoughts flow and understand your awareness to thoughts are different. In other words, just as how you can see your body in many ways and you can understand other beings and other people are looking at you from different angles of your own body, which your eyes can't do or not. The idea of your body can be looked at through many angles infinitely. In other words, I may not be able to look behind my head now, but if I can visualize self-accurately, in a sense, my awareness of what I would look like behind my head would be seen. So we see, we are right now at a generation where man can't tell how real his experience is because he has separated it. When you separate yourself from something, you're in a sense pushing yourself. It's as if you don't want to know the answer. And because you don't want to know the answer, you're the one saying, don't tell me the answer. You know? It's like saying, don't tell me the secret, but you're always left wanting to know, not knowing a secret. Do you know what I mean? It's a byproduct of the condition we're in. In other words, you might feel like a failure now, but when you begin to be aware of your being, then you see you're never a failure. You're always part of a greater process. You're just a separate element of it, but your being is more holistic. So if in certain ways you can treat yourself, your awareness, and this is more going into the realm of yoga and meditation, when you sit in certain positions or you do certain things, where the attention of your being to your human form will be in many ways, right? And guys, you go through certain realms where your mind is recreating scenarios. In other words, not a lot of people can see clearly in the present because they're constantly in a sense carrying their past with them. Imagine the cloak being your past. So in other words, if you haven't observed your existence deeply, you are looking at your problems linearly. You're looking at your non-linear problems for linear answers. You know, it doesn't fit. So how it fits is you need to first see what image of a puzzle you're making and then see what your life means. And for that, you need to be self-observant. You need to be contemplative. You need to recognize the stillness found within the motion, the movement. And always let yourself be guided by your sense of greater knowing, by your trust, by your intuition. You can see before you take a step. You can look at the steps before. Now imagine a part of you is seeing which you are unconscious to based on the practice of your design. But your consciousness is not limited. In other words, your ability to be infinity is present within your sensitivity to such realities. If you're not sensitive to realities like that, you will feel you're stuck in your own illusion because you feel there's an illusion. Why do you feel there's an illusion? And certainty has to be from a non-linear source. So I am most certain when there are no organized ways of knowing certainty. In other words, the chaos knew before the order could be organized out of it. So in a sense, organization and chaos are the same moment of experience being fractalized in many people's understanding between linear and non-linear, I guess, approaches to what life is. It's your ability that opens doors for you by knowing that you can always open them, because knowing that it can open. You see, I want to bring a very cool idea in your mind, which perhaps can serve many. It is the idea of the difference between a lucky person and an unlucky person. And it's not something I can say. I'm just giving my experience, my view on it, my take on such a notion. You see, someone is luckier when he knows that the doors can open. If you think all doors are closed to you, you will not wait long enough at the door for it to open. In other words, you will ring the doorbell and you will stay there for a second and you will leave. Because you have no hope, because you know all doors are closed. But some people go stand. And so patience is a virtue, because patience brings you a greater observance, which becomes more of a greater conscious decision for where you want to head. You know, in a sense. In the sense of your moment, your sense of your experience. Because I don't talk about space and time because it's a bit arrogant. And not that it's arrogant, sometimes you need arrogance to bring clarity. You sometimes need to be angry, not for selfish reasons, but for selfless reasons, for protecting someone, telling them don't touch the fire, don't go into the fire, you know, your sense of care, selflessness. We see another human in danger, you help him. You see an animal in danger, you help him. You see a plant in danger, well, you know, let's make books. But see, like, you need to be even sensitive to plants as well, but not a lot of people are. And doesn't mean that you should stop. You know, you can't control the changes of life. What that means is that if your hair needs to fall out tomorrow, it's good. So stop arguing about destiny or not destiny or control or no control. There's an happening going on. You're simply a conscious range of those experiences based on the body you have. So the body of experience that each being has is in a sense a greater platform of creative awareness for another being. What that means is that once you learn the art of creation, you're always looking from the eyes of a greater creator. From the eyes of a greater creator. You're always looking from the eyes of a greater creator. And there's a beauty there. There's a presence there that is comforting, but at the same time hidden to a sense of other, but always unhidden to itself. You're always unhidden to your being without a sense of, let's say, solid form, a sense of fluidity. When I say fluidity, as in a sense of ability to be aware without constant interpretation. And these are good things to look at.